It's a big weekend coming up in Lake Placid. A women's World Cup competition is taking place on the ski jumps just outside the village. Men's too, but it's the first time the women's event is being held in the United States. It's a huge deal. And some local athletes are using the opportunity to draw attention to a big disparity between men and women's pay in the sport. That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Claxton Hepburn Medical Center, dedicated to providing patient care and regional services to the people of St. Lawrence County. claxtonhepburn.org.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Thursday, February 6th. First up, New York Governor Kathy Hochul's plan to restrict cell phone usage in schools picked up a key supporter in the tech sector today. John Campbell reports for the New York Public News Network.
Tech NYC represents some of the biggest tech companies in the world, including Google and Meta. The trade group says it supports the governor's proposal, which would prohibit students from using their mobile devices during school hours. The governor says a cell phone ban will help train kids for the workforce. She touted her plan on New York One.
We want them to have young people who are used to working together and not in silos, just connected to a device on their hand.
Hochul included her proposal in her state budget plan. Legislative leaders say they're open to it, but some parents have expressed concern about being able to contact their kids in the case of an emergency. In Albany, I'm John Campbell for the New York Public News Network.
A new Canadian manufacturer is coming to Plattsburgh and plans to create up to 40 new jobs. Its products focus on fun. Kara Chapman reports.
What do Bilbao, Spain, Turku, Finland, and the Betty Little Arts Park in Plattsburgh have in common? They're all home to splash pads made by Vortex Aquatic Structures International. CEO Stephen Hamlin founded the company in Montreal 30 years ago.
We specialize in aquatic play equipment.
Think play fountains and water slides, and soon they'll be made in Plattsburgh. Vortex is expanding into a 50,000 square foot facility on the former Air Force Base. Gary Douglas is president and CEO of the North Country Chamber of Commerce. He says Vortex's decision to expand into Plattsburgh is a product of planting seeds in the Quebec market through workshops and networking.
It's another example of how we're in the Quebec business. We're very good at being in the Quebec business, and we're constantly, any given year, welcoming new Quebec investment.
Hamlin says a big selling point for Vortex was how close Plattsburgh is to its Montreal factory. He says the plan is to bring more production in-house.
Processes that we're probably doing externally with suppliers here in the Montreal area, we'll now perform those in-house, but in Plattsburgh.
To make that happen, Hamlin says the plan is to create 30 to 40 jobs at the new facility over the next few years. Those include assembly, painting, welding, logistics, and management positions. Hamlin says Vortex already partners with career and technical education programs in Montreal to recruit employees and hopes to do the same locally at places like CV Tech and Plattsburgh.
We're accustomed to working with academic institutions, whether it's an internship or a full-time employment. So, yeah, we're looking forward to using them, working closely with them to bring on new employees.
Economic development efforts in Plattsburgh have focused a lot on creating an aerospace and transportation manufacturing cluster there. Think trains by Alstom and plane parts made by Norsk Titanium. Douglas says it's important to have a diverse array of manufacturers, including those outside the transportation sector.
The more diverse your manufacturing community is, the better. If one sector is down, other sectors are up.
70% of Vortex's business is in the U.S. Hamlin says having a facility here will help the company better navigate the country's trade policies. For example, it'll help Vortex's products conform to federal requirements like the Build America, Buy America Act. And it'll reduce its exposure to tariffs, like President Donald Trump's proposal to put a 25% tax on all Canadian goods.
So it doesn't eliminate them because there's still going to be trade between the two facilities, but it does definitely lower the exposure to those types of threats.
Hamlin says the next step is to get equipment set up in the Plattsburgh facility. The plan is for operations to begin in late February or early March. Kara Chapman, North Country Public Radio.
This weekend's World Cup ski jumping events come amidst a conversation about equality in the sport. Female ski jumpers have fewer competitions each year and make a lot less prize money. One former athlete from Lake Placid is helping bridge the pay gap for this weekend's World Cup event. Emily Russell reports.
Annika Belshaw has been flying off ski jumps since she was just 9 years old. She's 22 now and one of the top ski jumpers in the world. She's from Colorado and is in Lake Placid for this weekend's World Cup. Belshaw says bringing the highest level of women's ski jumping to the U.S. is a huge deal. It helps put the sport on the map in a country where ski jumping hasn't always attracted a lot of support and attention.
It means a lot. It's really special for us, and I think we're really excited for this weekend and to see how it goes.
Belshaw is coming off a career high, finishing 15th at a recent World Cup in Japan. That top finish earned her about $760 in prize money. Compare that to the 15th place men's finisher who took home $2,100. Women ski jumpers generally make about a third of what the men do, a statistic that Belshaw says is frustrating.
We feel like very undervalued compared to them, and we put in as much work as they do, and it feels very unfair that we aren't making the same as them.
Prize money rates for the World Cup are managed by the International Ski Federation, known as FIS. In a statement, FIS said they are working towards bridging the gender pay gap, but said TV and marketing revenues for women's ski jumping are still well behind the men's. International competition for women is relatively new, debuting at the World Cup in 2011. To make up for the pay gap, women ski jumpers need extra sponsors, and many work second jobs. When she was ski jumping professionally, Lake Placid native Nina Lucy got creative and started crowdfunding to make ends meet. She got the idea while taking an entrepreneurship class in college. Their assignment was to raise money for a cause.
And I was like, hey, how would you guys feel about having our cause be my return to the World Cup? Because at that point, I was coming back from a knee injury in 2018.
That effort helped her get back to the World Cup. Lucy retired from the sport in 2022, but she still finds ways to stay involved. A few weeks ago, Lucy had the idea to crowdfund again, but this time for the Lake Placid Women's World Cup coming up this weekend. The initial goal was to raise about $3,300 for the winner of the qualifying jump on Thursday. That amount would match the men's prize money. Initially, the woman who won that round wouldn't make any money. Lucy set up a GoFundMe page. In about a day, she had met her goal. In less than 3 days, she had raised more than double that goal.
I was very surprised. I was scared that we were aiming too high and that it would be too lofty to even reach that one qualification goal that we had.
The extra funds raised will help even out the prize money for the top women in Lake Placid. It doesn't solve the overall inequality for women in ski jumping, but the sport is progressing in other ways. Next year, both the men's and women's World Cup events will be under one management. FIS, the International Ski Federation, says that will bring more opportunities and attention to women's ski jumping. Trevor Edlin coaches the U.S. women's team and says the sport has become a lot more competitive in recent years.
The best part to see is how fast the women are developing on the ski jump, and I think that FIS kind of isn't able to keep up with how fast the women are developing and how capable they are to compete at the same level as the men.
Edlin says the fundraising efforts and the fact that the World Cup is coming to the U.S. is a huge accomplishment for the sport.
For us having the first Women's World Cup here and that kind of setting that precedence, I think is amazing. And the girls are really excited on the team to compete and show the rest of the world what we can do here and put kind of USA on the map.
Both the women's and men's World Cup ski jumping event in Lake Placid starts tonight and runs through Sunday. It's expected to draw thousands of fans to the Olympic Ski Jumping Center. Emily Russell, North Country Public Radio, Lake Placid.
We have more news all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Lost in Beijing of Keen and Caitlin Scholl of Lake Placid. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.